poetry contest. I'm so thrilled to have all of you here, and I'm especially thrilled to have all the poets here. This microphone is just creeping down, so I'll just stand like this for the rest of the time, because I don't know how it works. There's a lot of things to do. Okay, there you go. Thank you. There's a lot of things to do. While she's doing that, I am missing a few poets. So let me tell you, if I call your name and you're here in the house, would you let me know? Nicholas Monroe, you are here. Okay, you're number 7. Keely Thornburg, okay, you're number 15. Keith Corporal. Keith Corporal. Here. Clementine Von Radix. Clementine. She's coming from Portland. She's not here yet. Guadalupe. You're here. Okay. All right. So welcome to our event. My name is Betty Edgerton, and I'm the chairperson of the Poetry Committee that's put this together. Along with some amazing people that I would like to introduce to you, and I would like for them to stand. Judy Plummery. Caroline Desmond. Chuck Everhart. Sarah Jonas. Katie Vaughn. Jill Harden. Nate Ulrich. And Jennifer French. Now let me just tell you how dedicated this committee is. When we signed up for this venue and we asked that the concession stands be open for purchase of wine and beer, we were asked to guarantee a certain number of glasses of wine would be sold. And my kids' committee stepped forward and said, "We will do it, Betty." And I also have got to thank our sponsors. These are people who donated $100 or more to make this event possible. Hoagland Properties, Northwest Inspection Services, Organic Pest Control, Florence Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, Jill Harden, Linda Bishop, and Betty Edgerton. Now I want to introduce to you our Mistress of Ceremonies. I went to the Eugene Poetry Slam and I was just so impressed with Jorah. And I went up during a break when she was trying to go to the potty and said, "Oh, I really want you to be our Mistress of Ceremonies," and she was just really excited. I think she really had to go to the potty. So she said yes. So I'd like for you to meet Jorah LaFleur.
Thank you so much for that introduction. That's the right fit for us to get off on as a crowd. Before you go, I know there's someone who wants to recognize you, so stay on the stage for a minute.
Yeah, single-handedly muscled it into existence and invented it. And we were about to give up as a committee when the grant that she wrote that got turned down first got accepted for a lesser amount. So, the grant she wrote and helped this happen. Every ounce of energy that she put into this, including going to Portland and Eugene slams and handing out pamphlets everywhere to get some of you here. But she just, you're all here because of her. So thank you.
All right, well, it's true, I do have a small bladder, but I am also genuinely excited to be here tonight. I have been since I first heard about this event. What an incredible crowd and amount of poets we have here in this room. So before we start tonight, we're going to start with some youth performers. We're going to get to hear from the winners of this afternoon's youth competition, as well as another young lady who wasn't able to make it to that competition. So we get to start off with 4 young people performing before we start the competition. Before anyone gets on stage, I want to say this. It takes a huge amount of courage simply to step up here and to be seen and to be heard in this vulnerable light. This is an intrinsically vulnerable art form. There's no band to hide behind, there's no character, there's no costuming. This is your own original work. So I just want to go ahead, before we even get started, I just want to say, you know, y'all already won by just getting up here. So let's just applaud everyone. Similarly, it takes a lot of presence to participate as an audience member in this kind of event. The gift of your attention is one of the greatest gifts that you can give. And so as you sit here all night and you hold space for people being this real and this vulnerable in front of you, you know, you're creating an experience that could not happen without your presence, without your attention. So audience members, give yourselves a big round of applause. Did we find the owner of those lost keys just taking care of business first? Yeah? Everyone knows where their keys are? Okay. Second point of business. Everyone who has a cell phone, if you would please put it on silent or turn it off, whatever you prefer, just so it doesn't show up, making a backdrop for one of our poets. Thank you very much. We will talk about the rules of the competition once we're ready to get to that point, but I'm so excited to welcome our first youth performer up here. These young people over here are so well dressed too. It's a very classy way to start off. So let's go ahead and give a warm welcome to our very first performer, Nina Aaron.
Sometimes, the world will disintegrate around me. I'll be perfectly fine, and then it will all come down. In a matter of seconds, the smallest things can change everything. In a matter of seconds, my entire life changes. I become this storm, raging inside my head, but show no emotion on the outside. I am falling apart. My limbs are weak and heavy. My muscles are sore. All my secrets are kept on my grave. Fear and silence take control. My struggles are my own, while no one else seems to care. Why pour yourself out to people when you can't even seem to figure it out on your own? So I just stand here, alone. My body is a coffin, and I am buried alive. Thank you.
There we go. It's real already. Okay, we have to talk about this microphone. So, this is an important point throughout the night. You know, I really, the acoustics in here are very nice, and you're wonderful, you know, quiet audience. But poets, as you come up, you know, before you start speaking, that was nicely done, that was nice, but let's just really make sure that we adjust this microphone to get it to the right level for you. There's a few different ways to do that, but it does seem to me like probably the easiest one is going to be this right here. So it's just a turn to the left, and then make sure it's nice and tight. Feel good, and I'm happy to help with that. I just want to really make sure that you're heard well. All right, our next performer is was the third place winner in the Youth Slam that happened this afternoon. Let's welcome Jordan to the stage.
If happiness was a choice, then who wouldn't choose it? Not everyone has a chance to get a great education and have a destination in mind to have for the rest of their lives. Not everyone looks the way we are expected to appear. You see, our system is broken. And not just the school system or the government system, our brains, our own systems, the way we work and the way we think, we are broken. The government makes decisions based on the knowledge they have about America. Well, let me educate you. The people getting educated are too beat down to care. The ones who want to make a difference are not being heard. School teachers tell the kids to stop, but that child still gets bullied every day. The people of America, the land of the free, the home of the brave. We are never free. Furthermore, we are fearful. We are held captive by the rules of America. We are scared for our futures. You say it's going to get better, but all I see is people who think they know what's best for our country. But how can the fate of the whole nation be held in one hand? How can one person possibly make things better? I don't see it getting better, but I'm sure it'll get worse. With that, every day is worse than the last. Every day another kid dies of suicide, and every day there's one more human but less humanity. Our systems are broken. But you can't see past a crowd of people fighting for rights that you ignore. You are blinded by your imagination because the truth is too much for you to deal with. You can't fix our broken system, so you hand the pill after pill, trying to fix our sick brain when really it's you who is sick. If you can't see how broken we are, then open up your eyes to what surrounds you. Ask someone how they got by this month. Go in the street corners and ask a gang member his story, because I promise you, each one is unique but the same. Different stories, same broken heart. We can't fix a nation if the ones in charge don't see the blackness, the black hole sucking up our country. We can't get better if our voices are never heard. We can't make a difference if someone doesn't start to care. We cannot change if something doesn't change in the way we think, because the way we think is no longer humane, but insane, and I'm sorry for breaking your imagination of the nation that doesn't exist, but open up your goddamn eyes for once to see the world the way it is, because it's not as glamorous as they say, and no one can prepare you for life, because the life we live is never in our own hands, but it's always in someone else's.
Man, I bet the adults in this competition are like, I'm glad the youth went first. Jordan, amazing, nice costuming and handwork too. Oh, excellent. All right, let's welcome the second place winner of the youth competition from this afternoon, Nikita.
It's prom night. Yes, it is.
Is this an option?
You can take that one off. I don't know if that's an option. Where's Matt?
You can turn it on.
It'll work. Try turning it off.
Is this working?
Yeah.
Oh, hey, this works too. All right. Poet's choice.
Can you guys hear me okay? If I were to step right here? Yeah? Okay.
You can raise that.
Oh no, you help me.
Stand.
As a child of mixed races and cultures, life hasn't been the easiest for me growing up. When you are the only person who can't play on the playground because you are not black enough, or be in the school choir and kids tell you that you can't sing because you are not white enough. When your family, who is supposed to watch over you and take care of you when people pick on you and bully you, are the main culprits in the torment and harassment every day. Because you are not black enough to be around your family at school. Because you are mixed. Hanging around you would be horrible for your street cred. Because your mother is white and I'm not good around to be around anyone. I wasn't good enough to have friends, and everybody made that very clear. When you were the outcast at school with no one and struggled to keep your cool every day. When you dreaded going to school because you knew someone that day would be there to tear you down and call you names. You are a bastard. What are you doing here? Your mom's white, go to your kind. We don't want you here, you're dark. Your dad's black, go to your kind. When you were the only child in school without a kind, so they say, moving day was the best day of relief. You never had to see those kids ever again. Your new town was smooth, that you moved to was small and nice, and racial slurs still happened, but you were accepted into their lives and cultures. You were wanted at some point in time. You were cool, but every day was a battle without the bullying, the insecurities those kids gave you, the worthlessness they drilled into you, the longing of wanting to be loved the way you feel you should have from the start. Those are the reasons and motivations to become the best you can be, and the reasons why you are still here. They are the reason you worked your ass off to get what you have and where you're going. You can't sing, got me second place at a competition. You can't sing, got me into college. You can't sing, got me into the competition choir. You can't sing, it's making me into a choir teacher myself. You're not black enough to be around us. Got me the friends and the love that I have now. You're not black enough to be around us. Got me to accept the color and the way that I am. You're not black enough to be around us. Made me who I am today. The kids who slammed my head against the walls and told me I'm better off dead are the same kids who inspired me to change the world. I'm not just a color. I am a person who is here and healthy and following her dreams to make it and will make it into the world. It's the same girl who will be graduating and getting her doctorate's degree. Those kids who looked at me from the color of my skin and the color of my parents, what do you see from me?
We haven't even started yet. I'm gonna start. It's gonna be like nice. I'm not gonna look pretty by the end of this, you guys. It's gonna be mascara and just emotion all over my face. Your face is. I'm just gonna be a little bit more lit up. So. Okay, and so also this other mic being an option, and this mic stand being an option. This is great. This is impressive. I mean, you could have a little novel over here if you need it. But yeah, so that you're aware, poets, if you prefer to use the handheld, that is an option. All you have to do is turn it on. All right. Lastly, before we start our competition, let's welcome the first place winner of the Youth Slam, Liliana.
I sit silently in a room full of eyes that are picking at me like vultures to a hit-and-run carcass on the side of the street. I see them searching me, identifying my body by the size of my jeans and the thickness of my thighs. This is teenage girl culture. Welcome, you are objectified. As their gazes continue, I start to get scared. If they approach me, I'll walk away. I'll look down at the ground and ignore what they say, urging myself to not mistake their catcalls as compliments. I hate it. But inside, something's telling me that I should crave it, want more, because society has taught me to only exist when I am wanted. So if a boy can't give me confirmation that I am worthy, then I am worthless. This is teenage girl culture, where voicing my opinions make me the backbeat. Shush me, should I scream? My voice is an annoyance. Silence in women is violence towards them, but I'll continue to eat my words because I skipped lunch. I'm still hoping for that skinny waistline. I am fine, I am fine. I lied, I am crushed inside. Welcome to teenage girl culture. It defines you. You are pushed into it. You are no longer a young girl with bright eyes who hasn't been taunted by this world's lies, because in the middle of a dark night, a woman has replaced you. And now, your IQ no longer matters, but your slender figure does. Welcome to your new culture, where you have a 1 in 4 chance of being sexually assaulted or raped, where Budweiser will exploit your body on a 6-pack, where your worth will be decided at first glance. This is teenage girl culture. You see, I've traded my anger for soft smiles for the sake of attraction too, but it all but makes you lose the fire that captivates the ones that actually matter. And the people that you loved most will have a knife aimed at your back. Welcome to teenage girl culture, where we are used up before we can even become. We live in a society that banks on our beauty and our bodies. We can create galaxies with our vocabularies, but everything in this world tells us to leave our fury and become silent. Because silence is beauty in women, they say. I disagree. We are beauty. We are divine. We are freeing your minds. We are teenage girls. We are made up of teenage girl culture, and we are enough.
First-time poet. Oh man, well, I feel more hopeful, so that's, I mean, if you don't feel like you got your money's worth already, I gotta make better friends with this mic stand. We have to work this out for everybody. Is there another one? Oh, the other mic. What's hard though is that for some folks, if they're, if they're reading off paper or their phones, it's nice to have the mic, or you want to use your hands, So we'll just keep working with it. What's that? Oh, for me. It's actually good one. That's true. I could do this. Thank you, sir. Excellent. Okay, so let's start moving into the meat of this competition. It's not officially a slam tonight in verbiage, but we're playing by slam rules. As Betty said when she introduced me, I run the Eugene Poetry Slam, and I've done that for about 10 years now. And so as we do there, tonight's competition will be playing by rules that were created on a national level, some of the basic rules that will be part of our competition tonight, and we'll get into those, but first I want to recognize our judges for both practical reasons and also to honor them because they're going to be doing a hard job. As you can already tell, there's going to be amazing poets all night long, and these judges are going to have to assign numerical values to people's heartfelt, soulful works. So, thank you for volunteering to do that. If you have a scorecard, if you have volunteered to judge tonight, can you please hold it up in the air so I can identify you? And don't be shy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Excellent. Great. So let's talk about judging, how that is going to work. So, thank you so much for suggesting this. This is way smarter. Okay. So, you now have a scorecard ranging from 0 to 10. This is Olympic style scoring, meaning that there is an invisible decimal place between these two numbers. If you were to hold this towards me, I would read it as a 7.5. The only time when I won't read that invisible decimal place is if you show me a 1 and a 0, I will read it as a perfect 10. So, that is the basics with that, judges. Each poet is going to come up here, they're going to perform, and very shortly thereafter, I'm going to be asking you as a group to raise your scorecards high, proud, in the air, facing me, and to leave them there until I've read all 5 scores out loud, just to make sure that they are, they stay up, they stay visible, and our judges have time to record them. To start tonight, we will have a calibration poet, and that'll give you a chance to, practice and make sure you feel comfortable and you'll kind of get the rhythm of it. And that's a throwaway. That poem, not the poet or the poem, that's going to be amazing. But for you, you'll get to go through the process as though that person were performing in the competition, but their scores won't count. The really important thing, your number one job as a judge is to try to be as consistent as possible. And this is the hardest thing to do, particularly this is a long competition. We have almost 30 poets tonight, and you're gonna get excited, and y'all are gonna be doing your duty and buying wine, right? And so you just have to really remember that the poets who come first need to be treated, as fairly as the poets who come near the end when you're even a little bit more open, you know what I'm saying? So this first poet, this calibration poet, will give you an opportunity to kind of set your own barometer. You can think in your mind, I'm going to do 5 points of my 10-point scale towards content and 5 towards, the performance. It doesn't matter. The power is yours. If you have a scorecard right now, you are a powerful person in the room tonight. And don't let yourself be influenced by the audience. Don't let yourself be influenced by any of the other judges. That is your scorecard. You decide on a way to judge, and you keep it that way. Okay? So seriously, the audience is going to make noise, and they might not always agree with your scores. Don't even listen to them. You've got earmuffs on to their opinions. You're the only one who was willing to sign up. Okay, that being said, the rest of the audience, you guys tell the judges what you think. You're here participating, okay? So you're here to just make all kinds of noise to support our poets and to let your voice be heard as an audience member as well. Okay, so do I have any questions from anyone who is judging tonight?
I got it.
Yes.
Explain about the lowest score drop, the lowest and highest score drop.
Yes, so as we go through this, what you will see is that we have 5 scores, and they're going to go into this computer over here via our wonderful scorekeepers. They're going to come back to me with a total, and if you were doing the math in your head, you might be like, I don't think that lined up. And there's a reason for that. That's because we'll be dropping the high, dropping the low, and taking the 3 in the middle. And that omits, zealots and curmudgeons, anyone who's falling asleep or has had 4 glasses of wine. So we try to keep it right in the middle there. So that's how the score will be working throughout the night. Okay, I want to talk now to the poets. We feel good? Judges, you feel good? We'll have a practice round? Okay, great. Thank you. This is like the part when you get on the flight, and I got to tell you about the seat belts and how it's all going to work, and then we're going to step right into it. So, poets, these are your rules. Tonight, you must present your own original work. We want to hear you and only you. You have a 3-minute time limit. After 3 minutes with a grace period of 10 seconds have expired, you will begin to automatically lose points from your total score. We won't gong you off the stage, but you will lose points as time penalty. Betty is going to have a timer on her phone that goes off at 3 minutes. So from the stage, you'll hear a little ding letting you know if you've hit the 3-minute mark. So that should be helpful. Don't stop, keep moving, just so you know where you're at, And let's see, you may not use any props or costumes, no musical instruments. This is simply about you and your work. The exception to that is that you are welcome to bring up your paper, your phone, your iPad. If there's something that contains your words, if they're not memorized, that's absolutely fine. That's not considered a prop. But other than that, we're just keeping it very, very simple, very even Steven. This is about you and your voice, and that's it. Do I have any questions from any of the poets who are participating tonight? Good. Okay. So shall we do a practice round? You ready? Okay, excellent. So I'm always very, very grateful to the person who chooses to. In Eugene, we call this the sacrificial poet. I think calibration poet, as Betty said, is a lot friendlier and more accurate. But there is a certain sense in which this poet is, is kind of offering a little, they're sacrificing their ability to participate in the competition. They're doing a service to all of us. So let's show some appreciation and welcome our calibration poet to the stage for the first actual slammer of the night. Michael Cole, everybody.
Did you hear me okay? titled This Ride. Let me orate how I began this ride. Like so many others, a simple ejaculate, because father would not masturbate. Impregnate mother, father chose, procreate. As I began to gestate and marinate, mother began to inflate, and I could feel she was rather irate. 9 months I had to wait. I knew there was no time to hesitate. An exit I must locate. Mother began to dilate, and I could hear mother say something about castrate. Father replied, could you please sedate? Doctor told mother, please concentrate. Her pain she could barely tolerate. As I navigate my escape, mother's pain began to exasperate. Oh God, did she just defecate? I lay there exasperated in this pool of desecrate. I had to retaliate, I had to demonstrate just a little tirade. As I gyrate, I see mother is elated as she begins to disinflate. While mother and father communicate, family members congratulate. And yet others interrogate, they debate, what's his weight? To elaborate, this is just the beginning of this ride. In an instant, I am pulled away from mother as they snip my lifeline. They dehydrate my umbilical cord just to commemorate. Oh no, the doctors collaborate once again. Circumcision, one doctor says, we should operate, eviscerate that foreskin. Commiserate, if you will, recuperate and regenerate. That was my plan. No, my imminent manhood was now lacerated. Vituperate I would if only I could talk. Once again, I reiterate, this was merely the first part of this ride. Speed forward, if you will. I have now become my father. A simple ejaculate, life generate again. 2 daughters and grandchildren decorate my family tree. And yet this ride still goes on. So many years later, preponderate, I find this ride. My body cells now decelerate as I approach this point of obliterate. And I am now another statistic for their death rate. This question beckons, should I incinerate or should I maturate into compost? And soon this ride will culminate.
Michael, thank you for your willingness to calibrate. I feel like that was just the sweetest Mother's Day poem I've ever heard. All right, excellent. So, judges, on the count of 3, I'm going to ask, I'm going to be quick with it because we have so many poets throughout the night, and just so everyone knows, we are going to take a potty break halfway through, so judges do know. So, on the count of 3, and I won't count every time, but just to get us as a group, on the count of 3, please hold your scorecard in the air, pointed at me. 1, 2, 3, up and at me. Wonderful. And hold them there until I read all 5. I've got a 4.5. A 6.3, everyone's doing a 6.8, a 7.1, and a 7.6 for Michael. Thank you, poet. .2. See how we just took those 3 in the middle? But when I don't say it, no one's ever actually brought it up. Everyone just says it. Totally. Yes. One last thing that I forgot to mention, poets, this is important. When you come up and begin speaking, that is when your time will begin. So even if you wanted to give an introduction or have a title to your poem, just understand that that does count as part of your time. However, what does not count is you taking time to adjust the microphone. So we really want to, so don't worry about the clock starting and trying to do some weird punch thing, Just say, I need help. If you need help, let's make sure you get your mic just right. Okay. Poets, judges, feeling good? Ready to play for real? All right. Excellent. Okay, so to kick off this competition tonight, let's welcome Paul Elliott to the stage.
Thank you. The death of the rum runner lay it out in curly form. I'll tell about death for the captain and crew and the ship in a terrible storm. She was long and lean, she's covered with fog. Fair she cuts the water. She's a gaff-rigged schooner of the privateer style. And she flies. She flies like the devil's a daughter. She made 3 trips this spring, I know. A dozen or so last fall. The revenue cutter scoured the coast, hunting the sweet Mary McCall. But she had slacked her sails in patch of fog, and she waited for night to fall. Then in she'd come with a load of rum, slide out with a box of gold, blow on down the South Seas, let the good times roll. The skipper, he's a giant of a man, disposition of a wounded bear, bloodshot eyes about marble size, and a face that's mostly hair. He's a lion man, a cheat man. He never spoke a word that was true, and on they went, the lube was spinning, and ever he cheated his crew. But south, and ever more southward, and down to the south they blew. They blew down to the South Seas, where the climate was soft and warm. But down the South Atlantic, they blew into a storm. The wind, it whipped and lashed and lightning flashed and thunder roared. Someone screamed, "God help us now," and the crew washed overboard. Now there's just a skipper and a first mate. They're struggling from the hold. They're trying to make a lifeboat with a heavy box of gold. But the 3 of them was more than the little boat would hold. Then there was a cock even a pistol. Then the hammer fell. Now there's just a skipper and a box of gold, and the first mate went to hell. The waves pitched and tossed him. Little boat she rocked and rolled. But his greedy man with gold in hand, and he would not loose his hold. Finally, one more giant wave, and over the little boat rolled. His treasure took him on down to the burying ground, 6,000 feet below, where Davy Jones will gnaw his bone, and the devil will guard his gold. Thank you.
Where are you from?
Where are you from, Paul?
Elk City.
Elk City.
It's a little spot up by the...
Excellent. Thank you so much. Elk City. Could there be could possibly be a more perfect poem with which to begin the big wave poetry? This is a blessed event. The world says yes. Okay, so judges, also don't listen to me. I'm going to be enthusiastic about everyone all night long in one way or another. My opinion means nothing, but I love you all. Okay, one last thing too about these points. You know, we're going to start giving real scores, and someone's going to take home $500, and that's awesome. But here's the thing: it's like this is a national saying in slam poetry. The point is not the points. The point is the poetry, and that's so true. I mean, this is as fun and wonderful as this competitive style event is, and like I said, I've been running one for 10 years. But the points really don't matter. That being said, let's have some scores. Up and up, please, judges. Scorecards high and in the air. You got a 5.6, a 7.0, a 7.3, an 8.0, and a 9.0 for Paul. Thank you. Wonderful. 22.3, and these scorekeepers are doing such a great job on it. Please welcome Peter from Scottsburg to the stage.
In praise of her. Years ago, I was tap dancing on a high wire when she, this woman, came into my being, full grown, danced in like she owned the place. She said, "I'm staying. And it would be nice if you went and got me a glass of pink Chablis on ice." I laughed. On ice? But her bravado. I went to look for 2 glasses. After her unwanted intrusion, we began a dichotomous war. The battle of duality. Verbal skirmishes. Comebacks. Open clashes. Sniping and clashing all day long. There was no joy, and we wintered in the trenches of silence. And then, one April morning, we both came running out waving white flags and went right into a truce we signed by spying. We opened to one another, and it was at that moment I wanted to write my name all over her dance card. She is Mensa smart, fast, funny, curious, faithful. She loves all things. She even has an imaginary cat called Tifa. She taught me how to hold on and how to let go. She taught me how to cry. She puts light in places I have never seen. She holds me tightly and will not let me let in the cold. Often she is our better half. We celebrate our silent love. We are a dream in process. I tip my hat, she curtsies, and she pours for me a glass of pink Chablis on ice.
What an incredibly joined thematic duo. And I'm wondering if maybe you 2 last performers, maybe y'all can teach classes. Maybe y'all can teach some young men classes. The art of love and respect, because that's impressive. Okay. Maybe actually your women should be teaching classes. Excellent. Okay. And Peter, how do you pronounce your last name? Forgive me for not getting it.
Coin.
Coin. Excellent. Okay, scores for Peter. Up and at me, please. Great. We've got a 6.3. And a 6.7. 6.7. Stay strong, judges. We've got a 7.2, 7.9, and an 8.0. 20.9. All right. On deck is Eric. Please welcome Sebastian Knight from New Orleans.
This is a poem about watching the sunset and rise over the ocean, and I'm going to read it to you in front of all of these beautiful fluorescent lights.
Raise the mic here. Talk in the mic.
Silent beauty beats me like 10,000 drums into one song, stirring into a terrific voice. We travel to the end of the earth. We come to the place where large slabs of granite are inhabited by seagulls and stone crabs, and where the ocean begins and time ends. We sit at the edge of cliffs to watch the blood moon rise in its terrifying darkness. Barefooted, we become shoeless and holy in only 1 second, when after the long darkness of the night, the sun burns like bloody honey in a glass ball shining in the sun. Text messaging while somebody's reading poems in the year 2016. It's so beautiful the way we listen. Hungry for this honey, we sit and chant this light into our throats without hope or fear or direction. We chant the beauty of inflections, infected by the first light of the morning sun. And the memory of the rising moon hangs like a white ghost in a blue sky, thinking of undying times, dining on what is possible in this impossible life. Wifeless or with wife, life and God remain the same, unchanged by the chains of law, worded by ordained men. And still this ancient impossibility we sing to the scent of salt and halt time itself, and the sun burrows its way up from the center of the sea, singing the center of creation lives in all places, and the faces of seagulls remain stern in the face of the discoveries of quantum mechanics and the quarks of scientists and quacks of all animals talking backwards, or in mathematics. It is all the same in the eyes of the sun, whose eyes have seen so much more than languages rise and die in its light. That's good, right? Yeah. And now, shirtless or shirted, we skirt death and live on wicked and hurt and are hurt by so much, even small things like hands and memories, though nothing hurts worse than absence. Curious. We travel to the end of the earth to unravel the mystery of absence from the quiet of darkness, and find the great sun rising in a blaze above the sea, and wave after wave stays chained to the song and unravels its deep mysteries to the naked eye, as simply as dawn unravels the day from night and the night conquers the sky. When the sun dies, this is good stuff. Yeah, keep it going. Right? And the sun, wait, let's start that over. I got confused. Blah, 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 unravels, we're unraveling. Unravels day from night, and the night conquers the sky when the sun dies and dusk becomes dust and rust. Song slows suddenly here and we are lost. We are in an age of lost things in the face of what is enormous and impossible to comprehend, and still we praise this and go about our days as if we have seen and heard nothing of what really is.
All right, this competition just got national in Orleans. Excellent. So listeners, you might have heard, throughout the night, you might have heard some folks in the audience snapping at points during some poems, right? And if that's not something that you've witnessed or participated in before, just understand that it's a way that is often used during a slam for people to show their appreciation, just to say, yeah, I'm loving what I'm hearing right now without it being too loud or interrupting the poet like applause or a shout out would. So if you feel so moved at any point, if you hear someone saying something, your whole body's like, yes, I really like that. You can give a little, it's a good feeling, it's a good feeling. So, yeah, the snap. Okay, let's snap up some scores for Sebastian. Oh, you guys are quick now. Good. Oh, good. Happy. Wonderful. Thank you, judges. We've got a 5.9. And a 6.9. A 7.0. Another 7.0. And a 7.7 for Sebastian. Thank you, darling. After a small penalty. Okay. On deck is Nicholas. Please welcome Eric Scrotto from Deadwood to the stage. All right.
Can you all hear this old stutterer?
Yes.
Okay. Good. Our range. The beauty my pen can't quite share, so I'll do my best to put you there. One of the magic evenings in Butte Valley, riding south, the sun on my right perched on top of the rubies. A big ball of fire about to roll off the other side and take away what little heat it had shared with me that day. The moon, its twin on my left, was balanced on Palomino Ridge, somehow announcing to the purple hills below that it was ready to take on the night shift. I was heading for the house, riding Old Punch. We'd been to check the north end well. It was cold. God, it was cold. Probably 20 degrees below. And the only noise made by Punch's hooves as they pressed through frozen snow. Breath freezing in my beard, feet light in my stirrups, wiggling my toes to see if they were still there. Punch's head came up short. And Punch's head came up and he stopped short. 10 yards away, I saw Three Toes, the daddy of all the coyotes that had ever eaten one of my lambs. He lost Three Toes off his right front foot in one of my traps back in '78. Just a pup then, but it's a tough old world. He went to school that day. We'd been at war ever since with a strange mixture of love and hate. I swore to put a hole in him for every lamb he ate. Time stood still and we stared at each other. And somehow in those seconds I came to understand how he and I both were renegades, but belonged to the very same land. You and all the other wolves who make a living on this place, be doing what you were put here to do without shame or disgrace. 8 or die 7 days a week, a day's work for a day's pay, and you don't even have to bow to the BLM or the FHA.
Yeah.
Again and again that thought, who belongs on this range? Humans are always wanting more, or coyotes who never change. All these thoughts went through my head as in those few seconds he stared. We both belong here, you and I, in this special place we share. You're yours by birthright, it's your home, sure, you stare at the moon and howl. Mine by a strangely human ride, I got if I grab roots and growl. So on this magic evening, I had a son as my witness. I'll share with you. Tomorrow, our war will really declare, but with an attitude that's changed. We will still be enemies to death, but we both belong on this already.
Thank you so much, Eric. I love this, across Oregon thing that's happening. Eric from Deadwood. That is, I live in Camp Creek, Oregon. How about on the McKenzie? Yeah, what wonderful imagery. Okay, I was trying to not venture so much at you guys, because we have a lot of poets here tonight. All right, so judges do an excellent job of being fast. I'll try to be fast too. Up and at me, please. Excellent. Here's Museum Olympics. 6.5, 6.7, 6.8, a 7.8, and an 8.0 for Eric. Thank you so much. 20.7 after a small time penalty. All right, on deck is Robert. Let's welcome Nicholas Monroe from Florence to the stage.
Don't let this hamper any wine purchases later. This is the crush. Napa River Camp. Juan Bastardo rises pre-dawn from under tent and tarp and pulls on, torn, no longer white, cotton, Hanes, and denim. A trucker cap to just suggest shade, all caked in Rutherford dust. Sandy, loamy, alluvial. That dust is the shoe worn by valleys, the lowest of which remove them in winter, but during harvest they stay close, hug the body. He washes his face with river, rekindles fire to brew morning and noon cups of Arabica, humming heart-rending umpapas heard down on Jefferson, running through the heart of the Mexican market district. Juan prods his hijo y hermano to despertate, time to trabajo. Valley floor, the crushed bronzer, a solemn reminder of work that came before and is yet to come, greets the family as they enter the valley. Sweet aroma of Zinfandels, Chardonnays, Cabernets pushes into truck vents. The chug and sput of the old pickup cuts through the hissing gaseous air balloon burn, preparing to float over estates and hover just under early morning mist. The patchwork 83 Ranger wines turning into the vineyards, multi-million-dollar vineyards, crunch of gravel under wheel, and then heel, what's left of the silver moon, reflects the silver spoon, feeding those old money vines. Mio, don't forget your gloves, Juan shouts as he grabs a bin for his hand-picked harvest. The paring knife peels back fruit's flesh. Juan checks every 10 vines for ripeness and botrytized bunches, that noble rot. Tasting room. Can you name the complexion of a hillside Bordeaux? Do you taste the tannins? Is it fruity on the nose or chocolatey on the tongue? What is the texture like? A velvet robe? Can you feel the notes of despair when impaired? Is there sentiment in the sediment? Is it cloudy like smoke from Juan's truck? Does that $200 Merlot taste like the sound of a chime welcoming harvest? Or should we say it rings like lament in the grape picker's voice as he sings by campfire? Can you remind yourself this is profit, not person? Profit, not person, before heading into the gift shop. Make sure you mention his name when you purchase a case. Thank you.
Right. Okay. Yes, you will get a chance to buy one line at our free. All right, judges. Scores for Nicholas Monroe from Florence. Up and at me, please. no. Thank you for your speed. I've got a 5.5, 6.5, 6.6, 6.7, and a 9.0. 19.9. All right, on deck is James. Please welcome Robert White from Portland to the stage.
I woke up this morning with the same condescending pressures tugging at my thought, thinking, will today be the day? See, I thought yesterday was it, but oh, how wrong was I. See, I woke up this morning and looked in the mirror, wiping night crust from each eye. I even took hot water and splashed it upon my face. But the residue from the previous day's failure only ran down each cheek like mascara that distorts my girl's painted on beauty after every fight. I scrub harder. The water gets hotter. Steam vapors rise with the hope I have only to fog my mirror. See, this mirror represents this concept of self-preservation. See, this mirror represents this concept of self-perception. I only see a silhouette of my being, but the person who I can become is still unclear. The person who I can become is still undecided. I wipe